it up. I don't want to, but I have to. I want to ask you just quickly, the film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she says is based on you, this insane man, this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero to these people?
Sure. Why not? People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. What a terrible thing to do that is.
This guy, I mean, he's always playing a victim. People been after me. People been after me. I mean, this guy was making what, 60K a month on Patreon. Doing what? For talking absolute nonsense. I mean, this guy acts like he's some kind of victim or something. I mean, people are not even after this guy. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, this guy has to do these interviews to stay relevant. And all it is, this guy, I mean, he just wants to be a celebrity. He wants to be a celebrity. He wants a cult following. That's why he does this. I don't buy this guy's BS. I don't think this guy has anything to do with men. I don't think he has any real solutions for the problems that men are facing. I don't even think he knows what the real problems are. I mean, you listen to guys like this and you hear later on in the interview, I mean, this guy has no solutions. He has no real solutions. He doesn't even understand what he's talking about half the time. I mean, a lot of the things he says are just flat out wrong. I mean, he shouldn't have got involved in the men's community as far as I'm concerned. He shouldn't have got involved in it. He should have stuck to talking about history and philosophy. You know, I don't really care what he says about that, but I mean, you listen to this guy and he's just pushing victimhood after victimhood. He's telling men they're victims. He sees himself as a victim. And I just listen to this guy and I don't even watch this guy's content, but sometimes he pops up and some of the stuff he comes up with, I'm going to talk about it a bit later, but let's just let this thing play. Look at this.
I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
It's making you emotional. Talk about that.
Well, God.
Okay, so he's saying the marginalized should have a voice. Not necessarily. That's a blanket statement. I mean, not necessarily should the marginalized have a voice. Some people have to be marginalized. That's why we have prisons. That's why we have mental homes. Although a lot of people have been taken out of mental homes and been put in, uh, you know, basically they're cared for in residential homes. That's part of the problem as well, and that ties into this topic. A lot of people, I'm for the putting people in mental homes, more people in mental homes, and not having people cared for at home. They shouldn't be allowed out into society, a lot of these guys. I mean, guys like Chris Chan, for example, who is an incel, that guy ended up raping his own mother when he should have been housed, when he became a transsexual and started smashing up the gaming shop. He should have been, at that point, he should have been put in a mental home. But see, we allow these mental people out. That's not really the topic here, but that's part of the issue as well. I mean, but to say that the marginalized should have a voice, no, there's mental people out there. Being marginalized does not make you a victim. It's just like the same old socialist tribe. Oh, if you're poor, that means you're a victim of the system. Not necessarily. Just because somebody's marginalized doesn't mean that they are a victim, doesn't mean that they should have a voice. People are marginalized for different reasons. Some people are marginalized because they're dangerous. Some people are marginalized just because they don't fit into the mainstream of society. I'm not a mainstream guy, you know. I'm not a mainstream guy, but I don't care if I'm marginalized or not because I stand by what I believe in and I'm not going to change. I'm not going to sell out just to be accepted. Some people will sell out. But the point is just to say that because somebody's marginalized, they should have a voice. A lot of these guys have mental problems, man. Let's not kid ourselves. if not most. I mean, they got mental problems. They're not right in the head. I mean, look at that guy out there they call him the Costa Mesa incel. Look what he was doing out there. He was going up to the opposite gender and making vulgar remarks, trying to bed these individuals, right? Wanted to go to bed with these individuals, and when they said no, he even got out a pepper spray and sprayed a few of them. Pepper sprayed people because they didn't want to go to bed with him. This is what some of these guys are like, man. The marginalized should have a voice. You see how stupid the statements this guy makes? He makes stupid statements because he's not really smart. He's just book smart. Like, if I read 1,000 books, yeah, anybody can sound smart. I mean, you can take an idiot and give him 1,000 books. This guy is not smart. I don't see any real intelligence in this guy. I really don't. I mean, what has he even done anyway? He's just book smart. I mean, that's all he is. I mean, this guy has no solutions. He has nothing to contribute to the men's community. He needs to stop. And, Piers Morgan, I mean, this guy is a real piece of crap as well. I mean, Piers Morgan will give anybody a voice because these guys are working together to just basically put themselves on. Piers Morgan, I don't know if he got cancelled or something. I don't know why he's not on TV and he's doing this uncensored stuff. I don't know what happened to him, but my point is that this guy, I mean, Jordan Peterson, I mean, he wants a cult following. He wants to be a celebrity. These guys are doing this for fame, man. It's all about fame. It's all about having a cult following. That's what they want. That's what they crave. That's why they do this. It's not about really addressing the problems and helping the male gender. It's not about that.
You know, it's
These
very
theatrics.
difficult to understand how demoralized people are. And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift.
You see, he's pushing the exact same thing. How many times you heard that in the manosphere? Too picky. So now he's bringing a terrible manosphere talking point, which is not even all the way correct. I mean, being picky, first of all, if they are picky, that's their own problem. That's not my problem. You know, at the end of the day, it's them who's going to die alone. It's not me. So why are you crying about it? Why is this guy crying about the opposite gender being picked? I don't care. I really don't care because it doesn't affect me. If they want to be picky, they're harming themselves by doing that. But see, he's taking a talking point that is a bad point. He's bringing that to a larger audience, right? He's actually harming men. His views are harmful to men. I've rallied against that since 2018. That ridiculous talking point, the opposite gender is too picky. So how come we got all these losers reproducing then? How come all these losers, I'm going to talk about that in another video, but how come all these losers, they ain't got a pot to piss in, yet they somehow have reproduced their seed, but yet they're too picky? Yeah, some of them are picky, don't get me wrong, but to put a blanket statement and say they're too picky is absurd. It's asinine. It's absolutely asinine, and it's a moot point. But these people will come out there, say this nonsense because they heard it from somebody else. They're just parrots. They're just repeating what they've heard from other people. This guy, I mean, he's a joke. I don't know how anybody can follow this guy. This guy, I mean, I listen to this guy and I don't see anything of value to. I mean, I'm not gonna say everything he says is bad. I'm not gonna go that far, but there's very little value. I mean, pound for pound, his pound for pound is very low. It's definitely not anywhere near mine. I mean, in terms of the amount of views that I'm getting and the amount of value I'm putting off, my pound for pound is 1,000 times, if not even more, better than this guy. I mean, it's just, he's just pushing incel talking point of 60 something. I don't know how old this guy is, talking like an incel. I mean, this is embarrassing, man. This is and crying at the same time. This is the most embarrassing interview I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's embarrassing himself, but it's gonna get him clicks, it's gonna get him likes, it's gonna get him his fame and his cult following, and that's all it's about. This guy don't even have any shame. That's why he's crying on TV.
Man, demand high standards from your men. Fair enough, but
And they're not
all
all
these
doing
men who
that.
are
A lot of them
alienated,
aren't
it's
even
like
doing that.
they're lonesome and they don't know what to do, and everyone piles abuse on
So
them.
what do they do, Mr. Jordan Peterson, Mr. I'm so smart? What do they do?
When she said that, Olivia Wilde, it stung you, didn't it? I saw the
Oh, by
reaction.
that time, that as far as critiques go, that was kind of low level. I mean, once I got painted as Red Skull, magical super Nazi, that was kind of the end of
I don't
the
even know what that
insults.
means.
There's no place past that. So when Olivia Wilde made those comments, the first thing I did was go look at the preview for a movie, which I quite liked. I thought I would go see that movie probably, and perhaps I will. It didn't really bother me. My family and I talked about it right away, and we were
I
able
don't know why they're giving this guy attention, man. Like, seriously, like, they say they're against this guy, but yet they're making a movie modeled around him. Like, what's even the point of that?
to respond to it with some degree of humor, which then people completely misunderstood. I said I hope that, that if I had to be played by someone, he's a very good-looking man, and so that seems all right, And then I said something like, I hope he gets my fashion style choice right when he plays me, and it was a joke. All that was a joke.
I mean, you've been so controlled today, and yet in that brief moment, you got very emotional. Why?
It's really something to see.
I want to touch on something that this guy said before, enforced monogamy. This is what he spoke about before, right? He claims that that's the solution. Enforced monogamy, right? Enforced monogamy is meaning that, I mean, first of all, that wouldn't solve anything, right? Enforced monogamy would just be basically a situation whereby the people who are high flyers, the people who are um, coming from rich families, be taking the higher quality members of the opposite gender and leave the regular men, the average guys, with the scraps, man. That's what enforced monogamy really is. I mean, how would that solve men's issues, man? Like, enforced monogamy is a stupid idea. When you have an enforcement of monogamy, first of all, I mean, the low tier is just going to be reproducing with the low tier. How is that good for? I mean, we already got that. We already had an enforced monogamy. It didn't work. The boomers had an enforced monogamy to a certain extent. It didn't work, man. That's why we got so many losers, because their parents were losers. So enforced monogamy, I mean, it's not good for society. It's not good for men either. I don't agree with that enforced monogamy, but that's his so-called solution. Because he's dumb. I mean, he's not that intelligent. I told you guys, this guy is not intelligent. But people will believe that somebody's intelligent just because they can structure sentences well. That doesn't make you intelligent, man.
Constantly, how many people are dying for lack of an encouraging word?
Look at this.
And how easy it is to provide that if you're careful.
Really believe this. I mean, look at the nonsense he comes up with. People are offing themselves, according to him, because of a lack of an encouraging word. Okay, you really believe that? Believe that people are jumping out of windows, jumping into train tracks, putting a firearm in their mouth and pulling the trigger. People are doing that because of a lack of an encouraging word. An encouraging word that's going to save the millions of people who end themselves. Come on now, this is ridiculous. The stuff this guy comes up with, that's the solution to people. Just give them an encouraging word. If they had an encouraging word, they never would have ended it. No, it's not that simple. I'm not claiming to be an expert in this. Okay, I'm not an expert on why people do that. But if you do talk to an expert, they're not going to say what this guy's saying. I guarantee you that. I mean, it's stupid. People are doing that, you know, for a number of reasons. But they've already made their mind up. They've already made their mind up that they want to end it. Okay? And if they want to end it, we are not responsible. You know, I don't go around bullying people. I don't go around attacking people. I'm not responsible. If somebody goes and ends it, that's their own problem. And that might sound harsh, but it's really not our responsibility. He always likes to blame other people for what people are doing as if it's somehow not their fault. No, I mean, they made the choice at the end of the day. Stop blaming everybody else for other people's choices. I've seen him a number of times, and he feels like we owe people something. We owe people who are down in the dumps. We owe people who are at the bottom of the food chain something. I don't owe them nothing because I didn't take anything away from them. So how can I owe them something?
You know, give credit where credit is due. And to say, you're a net force for good if you want to be.
Do you believe you're a net force for good?
Net, yes. In all the details, probably not.
The net force for bad. He's a net force for bad. I mean, what he's pushed in this clip, there's nothing positive to be taken from it. I mean, it's a bad influence. And I don't think people should listen to this guy at all. I think there's better people out there to listen to. I mean, he's just gotten big because he's been pushed by, I mean, YouTube pushes this guy, first of all. But I personally don't see much value in his content, and that's why I don't watch him. Sometimes I stumble across him, but I don't go out searching for his content.
You know, no one's perfect. So people make their mistakes as they stumble uphill.
Jordan, it's been a fascinating interview. Thank you very much.
Anyways, guys, Sean Roman here, the Truth of Man's Food. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you aren't already, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you're informed every time I upload new